This is it, ladies and gentlemen, the moment we've all been waiting for. The BioCup 2018 has begun. For those of you who still don't quite know what's going on, check the links in the description, and you can head over to the Flickr group and read up all the information on the contest of the year. The contest that all the Bionicle builders are having a good time building and preparing to wipe the competition with their cool stuff. So, this episode, we're going to be covering some of the mocks that have been entered so far in round 1 of the BioCup. We will, of course, be covering even more episodes and even more mocks throughout round 1, but this is the first of many. So, I'm going to go over some of my favorites so far and talk a little bit about some of the things that I think they're doing well, and that'll be this episode. Of course, next week we will have another podcast as well as another round 1 coverage episode, so stay tuned and get excited. Let us begin with the first mock, which is by Chubbybots, otherwise known as Kevin Lowe, and this mock is called Emma the Water Dragon. Now, that name is about as adorable as this build. I absolutely love this mock, and something that I think is so cool about it is how simple it is. You know, entering a competition like this, you can get some nerves. You can be like, oh geez, you know, look at the people who've entered, look at these amazing things, you know, but ironically, the simple stuff is the best stuff, most of the time even, you know. 9 times out of 10, I would say the simple stuff is best. If you got a clever idea, you're set. Even if you don't have a clever idea, you're good. I mean, this mock in itself, we'll see some other mocks later in the episode that kind of play with the theme, which is elements, of course, if you aren't too sure yet. But this mock is actually just, you know, it's a water dragon. It's straight simple, not necessarily playing around with the concept or being kind of cheeky in any way. It's just being exactly what it is. And that's perfect. Simple in concept, simple in execution. Awesome, awesome stuff. So let's talk a little bit about how its simplicity is really, really nice. So we've got a lot of these trans blue Hero Factory bones and parts and things, and Chubbybots has simply placed those around the mock. Some of them are attached in some fashion, but for the most part, they're just placed there. And then, you know, kind of place the rest of the dragon above it. So it almost looks like it's sort of dipping its head out of some water. It's a very nice sort of vignette around it. Looks fantastic. Again, super simple, but really, really effective. And a brilliant way of showcasing the element. Really, really clever. Really, really clever. And look at that too. You don't even need to attach the pieces for it to look cool. That's so cool. Again, simple, beautiful. Something else that's really cool is the use of this Ben 10 torso piece here. Makes up sort of the bulk of the head here, and to an extent the bulk of the mock. And it just works really well. You know, there's some nice connection points on there where you're kind of able to add those ears or horns, whatever they are. And yeah, just the overall shaping of that torso really works for that dragon head. It's just very nice. And then adding those Mixel eyes in there really helps that cute factor. And I don't know, there's just something really quaint and beautiful about this mock because of its simplicity, because of its cuteness. It's great. Yeah, so very nice work, Kevin, or Kelvin. Oh, my bad, I called you Kevin at the start. I'm so sorry. Nice work, Kelvin Lowe. Let's move on to the next mock, which is by Kendall Cole, and is called Kendrick Lamar Element. Now, I'm sure you're sitting there like, what? Did you just say Kendrick Lamar? Yeah, that's right, I did. So, what a fantastic, brilliant way of taking the theme of this episode. Well, I guess it is of this episode. What a fantastic, epic way of taking the concept and the theme for this round, which of course, once again, is element. And as this mock, as the description of this mock says, it fits into the round 1 theme of elements because this is a depiction of the song Element by Kendrick Lamar. Now, if you're going to go check out the music video and anything else about that song, he has said, a little bit of a warning for some of the younger viewers, it contains some strong graphic language and apparently a little bit of violence. So if you're a little sensitive, if you're a little young, don't check that out. But regardless, this mock is awesome. He's put it in all sorts of different poses, matching aspects of the music video and all sorts of brilliant things like that. What a clever concept. Literally, because there is a song called Element, he has made this mock, and it fits totally well with the theme. What a brilliant, awesome idea. So clever. Like I was saying before, you could just straight up be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna build a mock that's water themed and its element is water, or it's a dragon that lives in water, blah blah blah. No. You're gonna think totally out of the ballpark, outside of the box, and get a brilliant, clever concept like this. What a great way to take the theme in a whole new direction. You know, it's as simple as any kind of phrase, or like, for example, you could be like, I have the element of surprise, and you'd be like, oh, I'll make a mock out of the element of surprise. I give you full reign to take that from me, by the way. If that's inspired you, take it. Run with it. That would be what I would have done if I was entering the BioCup. So, what a great idea. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the mock. So he's used a brown Vaki head here to match Kendrick Lamar's face. Awesome! What a brilliant piece to match a human head. I honestly had no idea that would work so well as a human head, but there you go. And if we look at some of these photos here, there's some really, really cool overall design for the hair here, using some of these tread pieces, as well as some of these Exoforce arms and all sorts of different things. It's created very realistic, accurate-looking hair. It's awesome. Again, we see a lot of simplicity on this mock, nothing overly complex. Pretty simple legs, simple arms and stuff, but it matches him perfectly. It's awesome. It's such a great design, and yeah, simple but effective, like we've been saying so far. It's you don't have to be too complex to be really awesome. Also, the torso design here is really cool, more primarily using system here, but it matches his t-shirt very nicely, looks awesome. And something else that's just a little nice little subtle detail, but works very, very nicely, is this little bracelet he's got here, using one of these barbed wire pieces. Fantastic. Awesome, awesome idea. Works well. Looks great. Very, very cool. So yeah, maybe you want to think a little bit more outside the box. Maybe you don't. Maybe you want to stick with something traditional. We've seen two really good examples of both of those so far, and both are equally valid, both are equally awesome, and ironically, both are equally simple, which is very, very cool. Nice to know that you don't have to go too complex to have a really solid, good entry. But on that, let's take a look at a mock that is a little bit more complex. Or is it? We'll see. We'll see. So, this mock is by The Watching Relic and is called Odyssea, the Goddess of the Elements. So I've had some people message me in the past and they've been like, Ben, I don't know what to build. And I'm like, oh, just pick something, guy. And one time I had someone say, I don't know if I want to build a cat, or if I want to build a dog, or if I want to build a lion. I don't know what animal to build. I want to build an animal, though. And I'm like, well, dude, you just got to make a decision, you know? You sometimes get a little caught up in the decision. You just got to make a decision and do it. However, this mock takes that, throws it out of the ballpark and goes, no. I ain't going to build a grass mock. I ain't going to build a water. I ain't going to build ice. I'm going to build them all. I've seen a couple people do that in the BioCup so far, and that's been really, really cool to see. So, yeah, why not do that? Why not make a big old cluster of a mock that has multiple elements in one? And the simple execution of that is just, each limb is a different element, and you get a really cool result, as we can see on this mock here. So one of the feet appears to be sort of air or grass, the other appears to be water, got some hands made of ice, some another stone arm, most of his head appears to be fire, and his whole body seems to be kind of earth, or if we're sticking to the sort of traditional Bionicle elements. But really, really cool, isn't it? What a great way to showcase the colors, or to showcase the elements through colors, rather. It's simple, but it works really well, and it's amazing how effective he's able to convey them. Simply the sort of tail and the bulk of the body is mainly just black, but you've got that little addition of purple there, kind of a little bit reminiscent of Onawa and his protector in Bionicle G2. They sort of had that color scheme, so it immediately makes me think of Earth. You look at some of these legs here, both of them use trans colors, and you immediately think of the element. The head's all red, because the head of a dragon is more naturally associated with fire, because that's what they breathe. You think fire. You use some of these stone pieces here from some Hero Factory sets on the arm, and it looks like stone. So really, really cool, really, really clever, and again, kind of simple, but, you could, of course, argue this mock is a little bit more complex. Or is it? So, let me show you a behind-the-scenes photo that this guy has taken while he was working on this mock, and we see something really cool. He's shown you, essentially, this mock without a lot of detailing on it, and it's pretty much 100% made out of Hero Factory parts, and it's awesome. So essentially, it looks like what he's done is he's just played around with these Hero Factory parts, got a rough frame, figured out some connection points, and then from there, he's just laid on all the armor pieces that he's needed. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? So I guess in a way you could argue it's a little more simplistic, but in another way you could argue it's also really complex. And so I kind of challenge you in that sense. Maybe you're like, I have to be complex because I have to be the best. Well, maybe we've already seen two examples of that's not the case. And then here we see an example where we've gone, no, that is totally complex. And then you sort of peek a bit behind the curtain and you realize, maybe not. Maybe it's actually a little bit more simple. But that said, I've been talking a lot about simple and complex in this episode, and honestly, Neither makes a mock good or bad, and it's not necessarily something to stress out about, but it's at least something to keep in mind. I think it's kind of cool. But yeah, see what you can do. Just play around. In the end, that's all that matters. If you're happy, you're having fun, you're doing well. So yeah, cool to see some behind the scenes photos as well as the fantastic final result of this mock. Very, very cool stuff going on. Let's move on to the bonus mock before we close off the episode. Now this mock is by Ivax the Awesome, in capital letters, Ivax the Awesome. And he has made a mock called Elemental Gauntlet. Now we were talking a little bit before about thinking outside of the box, and I think that's definitely something that's a fun way to approach the theme if you're not really up to building something that's elemental in the traditional way. You want to think of it in a more less traditional way. So that's the example we've seen now. But this time we're keeping that same elemental concept, but we're taking the actual concept outside of the box. I didn't even think that made sense to me, but we'll explain in more detail. So who says you actually need to build a creature or a figure or anything, or a toa, or whatever? Take it outside of that realm. Can you put it on your body? Can you wear it as a hat? Can you drive it? Can you fly it? I don't know. See what you can do, And I think this is a fantastic way of, thinking outside the box in a different way. Building some wearable Lego, some wearable art. Awesome. Really, really cool. And again, we see some more trans pieces here being used to convey elements, and it's amazing how effective that is. Those trans pieces are really surprisingly very useful and very helpful in conveying elements. So if you're a little bit stuck on how to show off the element, maybe breaking out some of the trans parts would be very, very helpful. And that's about it for this mock. So we've seen 4 fantastic entries to the BioCup so far, and we're going to see a few more in the future. So stay tuned. And hey, if you've already submitted your entry, good job you. You've taken the dive, you've taken the leap, and you've submitted something fantastic. You should be proud of yourself. And hey, if you don't make it past the first round, well, at least you had fun building the thing. And if you do, good job. You've done better than some. So excellent work. Now, don't get, as Han Solo once said to Luke Skywalker, don't get cocky, kid. Get your head into round 2 and get excited. Oh, that's not going to be for a little bit, but even still, be proud of yourself. You've made something. Good job. And if you're still working on your entry, hopefully this episode has inspired you. Good luck. May the Force be with you. Keep on building. Have fun. And enjoy yourself. Anyway, that's about it for this episode of the Round 1 BioCup coverage. Like I said, stay tuned next week for even more episodes of our 2018 BioCup coverage. We've got some good stuff planned, and I'm sure we've got some even better mocks to showcase. That's about it for now, guys. Happy building. Welcome to Round 1 of the BioCup. See you next time. Bye for now, guys.